Okay, now I've put my images onto the computer from my compact flash card, and I've got Bridge open here. You can see all of the different texture shots that I've taken. So I'm working on this one. I'll just double click that to open it. Okay, and then Bridge opens up Camera Raw for that image, and you can make some adjustments as needed. Within here, I usually try to do a crop, take out any unnecessary areas. I'll probably crop out this darker part at the top because it won't mesh with the lighter part at the bottom. And if you've got a pattern like this, you generally want to make it as close to a repeating point as you can. So like these squares, I'll go pretty close to the edge. These squares here, keep that one in the bounds, and keep I'll have to adjust those to be straighter in Photoshop. But as for the color, I think I'll pretty much keep that as it is, and I'll open it in Photoshop. Okay, now I've got Photoshop open here with my image, and I'll just zoom in on it. First thing that I need to do is straighten out these lines, and the way I'll do that, first of all, is I'll go to my Layers palette, double click this, just hit OK, and that'll make it a layer instead of a background. That way I can make edit, and I will go to Edit, Free Transform, and then if you click your right mouse button beside this, go to Warp, and that'll give you a little control over how these lines are shaped. And if you need to zoom in, which I definitely need to do so that I can see that it's not straight. It's a little bit wonky as far as the function goes because it's not. And generally when I'm doing this, I have to make guides. Hit the Control R key and your rulers will pop up. And then you can just drag down from there, and I'll make a guide for each of these lines. And I still have my free transform open. With this particular material, I might even end up cropping smaller than this, but just work with it as it is right now. These guides don't need to be exact on them, it's just a guideline to see where it is. So hit enter to save that as it is, and hit Control semicolon, make the guides go away, and you can at least eyeball it. So after you've kind of eyeballed it, I'll turn on the guides again. There's some spots that are a little bit odd, and obviously I'll end up cropping out this at the bottom, but I'll go ahead and crop at this point just on the outsides of these. I'm going to shut off my guide so it doesn't snap. To go ahead and shut off snap altogether. Inside of that line, just outside of this line, and I'm doing it just inside on the other one, which will be made up for at the top. So I'll just crop there, hit enter, back out, see how that looks. And to test the seamlessness of it, I know this isn't going to be seamless yet, but if you go to Filter, go down to Other, and hit Offset. This here, you set how many pixels you offset to the right. You can either do a negative value or a positive value, and then you can also do it down. So 1000 and 1000 both ways works pretty well, so I'll hit OK. Zoom in, and here you can see the seam, but really it's not bad considering. I thought it would actually be worse. And even out here, especially probably in this video, you probably actually can't even see it. So I'll zoom in and get rid of this first seam, this vertical seam. I'll switch over to my stamp tool, just Alt click over here. And I am using a Wacom tablet, which makes it considerably easier. Draw up here, and a lot of times what I'll actually end up doing is I'll take a seam that's further away, but just fairly quickly here to show you. And I'll re-grab this point up here, and I'll do the same scene here. And this is actually straightening this out as well. Oh, I guess I overlapped, so I'll grab it again. Right at crossroads there, I'll start it right here, bottom. And that actually got rid of the vertical seam. It's not perfect yet, but it's getting there. Just grab this spot. I'm a little off to the side there. If you're having trouble lining it up, hit the caps lock key. That way you can see exactly where you're going to be lined up. And then for this horizontal seam, maybe I'll fix these spots first. Right now I'm just doing a marquee selection. Make sure it's above those seams. And then I'll do a free transform again by hitting Control T. Right click inside there. I could do warp, and actually this time I think I'll do a distort. Just pull this up. I'm just straightening these out a little bit. Hit OK. You can see I got a little bit of a gap and I've got a seam going on, but that's pretty easy to fix. Switch over to my heal tool, hit the caps lock key, go back to the normal, and just clean those up. When you're zoomed way in to 100%, you really don't have to worry about it too much, though I do like to make it as good as possible. Okay, and in this video I'm going to be speeding it up just to, I'll just keep working on this and I'll speed it up. I'm doing all of the same techniques, but you can see how it is that I'm going about this. Now that I've got this relatively straight seam here, I will stamp and select up there, place this whole seam all the way. When you're doing this, you don't want too soft of a brush, because here you can see it's getting kind of blurry. top here. So I'm going to actually undo that. Go up to your brush here, put your hardness up to about 90%. It seems to work the best. Select this up here again. Sometimes you want a softer brush, but don't have it too soft either most of the time. And it's not perfect, but I'm getting rid of the hard offset seam from before. And then after that's fixed, switch over to my heel tool again, and I'll select somewhere in here, select at this intersection, and I'll do it at this intersection. Still wasn't straight. And I'll switch over to my heel tool, just try to align that a little better. Problem with a texture like this is it has a very defined pattern, so you have to be pretty careful on where you line up your brush. Okay, there I've got that seam pretty well done. Still don't really like this spot, so you know what I think I'll do is just copy this different square. I'll do this square up here, and I'll just use my stamp tool, completely cover it over, and then take this spot, move down, and back in here. Is at 100% right here, and I'll back up, and there it is. Nice thing about this texture, I still have some kind of folds and shadows in here. I wouldn't want too many shadows, but that's not too bad. For the most part, you want to get rid of as many of the obvious signs, like this one I'll get rid of here. Switch over to my stamp tool, cover over the shadow part, and switch back to my heel tool. A lot of this with these textures is just switching between the two tools. It doesn't look bad there. Back out again, and get this one over here. Maybe I'll actually take this in my stamp tool. I'm just going to totally cover this one over like I did that other one. Just get rid of that repeating pattern. Will look like an obvious repeating pattern. That looks good. At that point, I'll go back to the filter, do the same offset. Here you can see what was in the center is over there. I'll just do it again. It's over here. And at this point, I'm just going to go down into 100%. From that point, I'll just go through and I'll look for bad spots. This spot I could probably actually fix it by selecting this area over here, get 100%. And at this point I'm just looking for seams that I might have missed. You'll see them pretty easily because they're a really hard edge. They're to the other side, so I'll go down, back to the other side, like right there. That's not kind of seam that I was really meaning, but good spot to fix regardless. Okay. And I'll just keep on moving until I've covered the entire image. And all this really good for is checking your work. It's just a QA. Oh, see, there I got one right there. So I'll select that spot, just cover that up. Keep on moving. I'm not sure what this spot is, but I'll fix it. Might be from the camera, might be something actually on the cloth when I took the picture. That looks pretty good. I'll just offset it one more time. Looks seamless to me. Looking at it, I see a couple of spots that I don't really like that will probably repeat. So I'm just going to fix them real quick. Okay. So if I wanted to prove that this was seamless, I can just copy it all, make a new one, and I'll just make this double. So that'd be 4624 by 5052. And I'll just paste it in there, put it up to the corner, zoom in, and I'll just copy it, drag it over. There you can see. And then I will take both of them down until they line up with the bottom. And there you go. There you can see it's seamless. Now I do have these folds in here. That was just a matter of the fabric, but that is usually something that I try to take out. But the texture is seamless, and maybe it is something that you want with a fold in it. It is a folded tablecloth that is unfolded after all. And there you go. That's how to make a basic seamless texture. And thanks for viewing. Subscribe to my blog at chrislanephoto.com/blog to receive updates with new tutorials and more. Cheers.